Hey, what's up, guys? Metal Mondays. Let's do it.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, I can't be any more sorry about missing out last week. We unfortunately, real life had to come into the situation for myself, and we were going to make sure we don't do that again. All right, so what have you been up to this week, Phil? How's your week been treating you?
Good, good. A lot of work, a lot of metal. Same, same. I did some recording this week. I had some time to do some music, and today I picked up the guitar and I recorded some riffs,
You
which I
picking up the
sent to
guitar?
you.
No.
Yeah, no, but it had been a while. I mean, for those who are new on the chat, yeah, I'm working a lot here in South America on a job, but every time I got a chance, I like to do music, all kinds of music, metal, of course. And yeah, today was a good day. I recorded a song and sent to you, and then we'll make history.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, no one but ourselves have heard it. But my immediate comments on it were it's very spooky sounding, like a very dark tone as far like not tone as far as guitar tone, but like the vibe, the general feeling that you get from just listening to the notes you chose, the chord progressions, very dark sounding, and
Because you're used to me playing caveman riffs, dun, 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 and lately I've been dippy dapping in black metal.
yeah.
So yeah, so it's yeah, inspiration from Satan. Yeah.
As for myself, I've actually been working a lot on Skullsplitter stuff these past few days. A lot more than I actually would have expected, considering the pandemic that's going on. But it's pretty cool, man. What we've achieved, and it's just a shame that you're not here with us. We haven't really written anything new, and that's just because we don't want to leave you out or anything. But what we've managed to do is get Dylan up to speed on a lot of the music that he might not be familiar with. And again, we keep talking about Skull Splitter on this podcast, but no one's got really much more than our EP to really go on.
Demo.
Yeah, the demo to go on. Sorry, I'm in the middle of writing a Facebook post here, so uh, there we go. Posted that, all good. Now I can give my undivided attention back onto you. But yeah, we're an interesting bunch, I think. Us. Oh, hey, Bob, how's it going?
Hey, Stevie Ray Bob. You heard it as well. Yeah, I confess I sent it to. I also sent it to Stevie Ray Bob, the new song.
What were you recording on, by the way?
Oh, straight into my interface there into Cubase with the Nolly archetype, the Nolly VST there. Good stuff. And the Jackson I bought here in the jungle.
You actually bought that down in Suriname?
Yeah, I bought it. And probably like I don't know how many recording studios are here, maybe five. And I visited one and the dude had like a million guitars. And I saw a Jackson, a black Jackson. I was like, yeah, that's the one.
That's quite interesting if you think about it. What's the population down there?
It's 500,000, man. It's 500,000 people. It's the smallest country of South America.
So let's be generous here for a second and say this. You said 500,000, 500,000. Let's say 10% of people down there are musicians, which is very generous considering in Canada the consensus, I think it's not consensus, sorry, the census was 7% of Canadians are actual working musicians. So let's say 10%. That's what, 50,000.
Uh-huh.
That would be 50,000 people. And
And
this store had how many guitars? Do you think?
I have to continue. And now 50,000, how many play metal?
Yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah.
so
But
in the end, there's like 12 people listening to metal in Suriname.
But were
Probably.
all the guitars though in the store like Jacksons and
So
Ibanez's
that
metal style guitars, or was there anything other than that?
Yeah, but that's interesting. So there's only two music stores, and I went to both, and the guitars they had were shit for exorbitant prices. And I was like, fuck, like but I really wanted an electric guitar. And people who don't know, I was supposed to come back for Christmas in Canada, but I couldn't. So I got stuck here without a guitar. and I couldn't do that. So I went shopping for a guitar, and I just couldn't buy him. I couldn't buy a shit guitar for twice the price. So I was like, fuck, I'll check on Facebook Marketplace and these things, and I found nothing. But then here it's a small country, so if you have a contact who knows a guy, so then I went that route, and in like half a day, I found this guy who had this studio. So remember, I bought it from a dude in his studio, not from a store. And basically, I learned after that he recorded like the only metal band here. He recorded their first project. So it's like just me looking for a guitar got me down the rabbit hole for metalheads in Suriname, which is a small group.
What's the live music scene like down there?
Well, you know what? It's because the music scene, people love music here, and there's a lot of, usually before COVID, right? A lot of carnivals and people in the street, and it's all like Caribbean music. So you got, if we're talking modern, and we're talking about like reggaeton and all these new even how can I say, these Latin genres
and stuff.
Yeah, kettle drums, but also traditional, more like African type vibes. Very high tempo.
Very tribal.
And yeah, very tribal. And but basically, yeah, I have never met a metalhead like in 4 years here. Or I met one guy one time at the butcher shop who had a Cannibal Corpse T-shirt. How proper! He was hacking meat with an axe. Yeah, and that's the only guy I met here with a metal shirt. So yeah, but thank God we have Metal Mondays. We have a lot of other podcasts I listen to also, and I can always find my metalheads online.
Okay, do you want to, before we go onto news here, do you want to maybe give us a little rundown of what you've been listening to, if anything new this week? Because I know it's been a pretty hectic week.
Sure. Well, in the last, because we missed a week, so I had 2 weeks. There weren't that many big releases in the past 2 weeks, but I'm gonna mention a few. Heavy metal band Haunt released their 6th full length in like 3 years. These dudes are super prolific. The LP is called Beautiful Distraction. They're from Fresno, California. It's a classic heavy metal, which you don't get a lot of new bands playing classic heavy metal, but they're young guys, and like I said, like their 6th album in 3 years. It's insane. They release like 2 full lengths a year, and the dude even records. He streams. I don't know if he still does, but he used to stream a lot. Him just coming up with songs and recording songs. So the dude is. Haunt, if you want to check that out. So you that I know you like classic heavy metal a lot, like Iron Maiden and all that stuff. Check him out. Very cool, very melodic. Other than that, yeah, one band I want to mention is called Burn Down Eden. It's a melodic death metal. They put out their 3rd LP on March 26th. They're from Berlin, Germany, and this is a very aggressive melodic death metal. If you think about like At the Gates, Slaughter of the Soul, or like old In Flames, it's kind of like us, like kind of what we do, kind of like the more aggressive melodic death metal. It's pretty in your face. And another band that played melodic death metal, but very different kind, is called Ultima, Ulthima, Ultima, and it's more of
90% sure you were pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah, and this is melodic death metal also, but it's more of the Children of Bottom style, so with elements of power metal. It's very melodic, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. I prefer when the mellow death is more aggressive in your face, but it's so well made that if you're a Children of Bottom fan, check that out. It's their first LP. They're from Finland. So Ultima Symphony of the Night got released on March 19th.
Before you continue, you just had a shout out in the chat.
Oh, what up?
From RWT Drummer.
Yeah. Hey, I think that's one of the guests. That's a member of the band we will showcase tonight.
Ah, I see. Welcome to the show.
Other band, yeah. I mean, do you know? Are you a fan of Bolt Thrower? You that is from the
Bolt Thrower?
UK. Uh-huh.
I wouldn't call myself like an avid fan or anything, but I'm not going to turn it off if it comes on the radio.
Did you know that the singer is in a super group called Memoriam?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, it's a super group, with member of bands like Benediction, Napalm Death, Massacre, Sacrilege.
Oh.
Like, yeah, they put out their fourth LP, and it's good, but it's not as good as the last one. I thought they were in 2019, but it's good. This one is your classic old school death metal, caveman riffs. It's good. It's still good stuff. I mean, Memoriam. If you don't know him, you gotta check him out for sure. And quickly to finish on the old school death, I have another band from the UK. It's called Celestial Sanctuary. Put out their first LP called Soul Diminished. So again, this is like your groovy, dirty, old school death metal. Check that out, Celestial Sanctuary. And I'm gonna finish by telling that Carnal Tomb put out an EP called Festering Presence. They're also old school death metal from Berlin, but this one is more on the cavernous, dirty, greasy. You remember Stench of Death? The dudes we showcase out of Calgary? Yeah, it's kind of that vibe, like that super cavernous voice that some people hate, but for me, I love. The dirtier it is, the better for me. So yeah, I still had a few albums to talk about quickly from the last 2 weeks. But we have a big week coming. We have big weeks coming in April. Notably, we have Cannibal Corpse who will be releasing a new album.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and we've been let's spill the beans. I mean, we've been talking a little bit this week about future programmation, and we're going to be doing a full album review of that. Our first episode dedicated to a full album where we will go in depth. And what better band to do so than Cannibal Corpse for sure. Yeah. So with that said, how about you? What have you been listening to this week?
Oddly enough, every time you list bands, there's usually one that I've probably listened to, that I've been checking out. I checked out Beautiful Distraction as well. So I was very much impressed with that. As far as anything outside the box, there's nothing that you haven't already listed. So I've been listening a lot to the group that we're going to be showcasing tonight. So does
say their name for us as an English speaking guy?
Vitrail.
Yeah, Vitrail, very good. Vitrail, which means stained glass, basically, right?
Yeah.
Stained glass. Yeah. Vitrail out of Quebec City.
As you were explaining it to me, the windows that you see in churches.
Is it the only place where you see stained glass?
No, not in England. You'll find stained glass in like 17th, 18th century castles and stuff, forts. You'll see them in a lot of really like old fancy houses, like Tudor style houses and Stuart style houses. So yeah, it's not just a church thing, but cool. most people will be familiar with stained glass windows in churches.
Nice. Well, in French, we got a dope name for it, Vitrail. Sounds more dope than stained glass.
So is there no pronunciation of the L?
AIL is I, so it makes
Vitrail.
Vitrail. Okay. Exactly. French.
And what about, is that the same as the continental French pronunciation as well?
Yes, but they would say more with you put your lips like a chicken asshole. Vitrail. So that's the difference. If you want to speak French from France, you put your mouth like this.
All right.
Good job on the spelling, Richard says.
Brilliant.
Okay, let's go on to the news.
All right.
Some funny news this week.
So the only news we're really going to be discussing is it's in the title. So if you came for Lil Nas, well, here we are. The funny thing is everywhere you look, it's almost like a headline of incredulity. It's not like your typical headline. We got this on the Pit, but it's also the same on Metal Injection's news page as well. All the news feeds, it's just basically, did these dudes just convince Lil Nas X to make a metal remix of Montero? So I tee it up. You tell us all about it, Phil.
I mean, it's quite funny. I mean, it's for us metalheads, you know, every week for the last 35 years, we have a new gory album with like crazy artwork with bodies ripped and crucifix and pussies and sorry about that, but that's what metal is, right?
Yeah.
It's and for us, it's like we're unfazed by that. But this dude, this rapper, he put out a song and a video, which he's dressed in drag for the complete video, and he ends up doing a pole dance, and he slides the pole down the hill and gives Satan a lap dance.
Let me see if I can pull this up.
I mean, it's for me. It's just hilarious, and of course, every organization from the States were like blasphemy and you're fucking up the children, you know, and Satanism and homosexuality, you know. That's what
I got it up on the screen right here.
Okay.
I'll just make it big for everybody for a split second. This is what we're talking about here.
And for me, what you know, of course, as a metalhead, I find that hilarious because on one side you have these rappers like, you know, Cardi B, you know, rapping about super sexual stuff in detail, about deep throating, and you know, like every day on the rappers on the song, that's what you hear about. But you see a gay dude, a gay black dude, you know, and you see Satan, and that's the thing they'll point the finger at. But as for metalheads, for me, it was just like throwing up the horns at Lil Nas X for showcasing Satan, because in the end, we're all about the music in metal, and the imagery is very present because the music is so aggressive that, of course, we're going to choose aggressive imagery. And I felt like that's a subject we can talk about because, you know, in metal imagery is everything. Also, you know,
I'd like to just clarify as well, though, that there was a subgenre of rap that existed throughout the 90s and early thousands, which is very much in line with that kind of imagery. It's called horrorcore, and anyone familiar with the embarrassing self-proclaimed worst band in the world, Insane Clown Posse. Yeah.
Michael was a gigolo.
No, gigolos are male prostitute. I was a juggalo. I was both. So yeah, it's not unusual in rap to see that kind of imagery, especially with the more aggressive lyrics that you will find in some subgenres of rap. Rap's kind of very similar to metal in that sense, that it's got all these many different subgenres, and like it's ever changing.
But so the rappers, they desensitize. We'll talk about America because they're always the one getting fucking sour about everything. Not sour, but salty about everything. So they desensitize America to guns, drugs, and sex, but not Satan yet.
No.
That's where they draw the line. You know, you can talk about snorting cocaine on a prostitute's ass, but do not feature Satan in your video. Anyway,
well, and even with the FCC language restraints, like you can say fuck once, but you can't say shit.
Oh well.
Like there's no rhyme or reason or method to the madness whatsoever down in the States when it comes to censorship.
So how about imagery in metal, man? What's the first time you saw like a dope T-shirt or album cover and you went like, oh fuck,
Peace
like
of Mind.
Iron
Maiden. Yeah, he's Iron Eddie's kind of like all like in this sort of ghoulish stance, but he's wearing a straight jacket and he's in a padded room with chains pulling him and stuff. That's the first instance of something really graphic. And I actually, it was my brother's album. It was his first CD that he ever owned, and I was terrified of it as a kid. Like, as a preteen, I was usually very terrified of that sort of stuff.
And then you listen to the album and you were like, that's not too bad. Or did you scare the shit out of you?
I was too scared to listen to the album or anything at the time, yeah. I didn't actually start really listening to Iron Maiden until I was 12, 13-ish, the tween years.
For me, it was shopping for posters, you know, and I was a lot into punk rock when I was like 10 years old. So I was looking like for Rancid or Green Day or posters, and I came across, it was a Megadeth poster, but it was very gory. It was like a dude with with like the brain open and like a mechanical apparatus going through the brain. I was like, holy shit, like what's that? And I remember asking the guy who worked at the store, he said, oh, that's metal. And I said, oh, what the fuck is metal? And that's what I needed to know what it was. And I remember listening to it, and I remember thinking, it's not so bad. It's not so scary.
Mm-hmm.
And but that was just the tip of the iceberg. Obviously, nowadays, you got some brutal death metal and slam bands, but it's become a joke. That's what people don't understand. It's like horror movies, It's the same. It's like brutal death metal or I mean even black metal or other themes you have, whether it's satanism or it's gore. It's the same for horror movies, right?
Well,
it's
you
art
can go back a little bit though too as well. You can go back to like the late 60s to a lot of bands like the Doors and the Beatles with lots of very trippy imagery. Like I think about the movie Yellow Submarine, for crying out loud. There's like creatures with like mouths in their stomachs and stuff. It's not just like, I think, a metal thing to have this taboo imagery in art. It's usually kind of a like an edgy thing, a way of sort of like rebelling. I find, like when I look at a Cannibal Corpse album, for instance, and you just see somebody's eating out a corpse, like a fucking cannibalizing someone's fucking vagina.
Butchered at birth.
Yeah, I'm thinking shit like that is just it's meant to be edgy on purpose by design. It's like, look, we play loud, fast, and brutal music, and this is an extension of that to show that we just don't give a fuck. Zero fucks given. And it was present in the early 70s, late 60s, I think, with bands like the Beatles and the Doors again.
But what I find cool and different is that when we were kids, and I mean 20 years ago, so we're in our mid-30s. So when we were 14, 15, like the internet was just starting, and when we saw a crazy album cover, like you mentioned, Butchered at Birth, and we were looking at the titles and like entrails ripped out of a cunt. It's like we were thinking these guys are crazy, right? And we didn't see them on interviews, or we didn't really know what they look like. But now you Google Cannibal Corpse, like the first video you will see is George shopping for ponies at Target. You know what I mean? Like, no, but I mean, it's like now it's so now it's like, it used to be like so mysterious and we're so scary to, it's a joke now. It's like, who can come up with the crazy after 35 years of death metal or extreme metal, can you still come up with dope covers? And Ben's still having fun doing it, right? Like you saw the latest Cannibal Corpse cover. It's just, you saw, it's like classic.
It's not just about the visual stuff though either. Like, from we talk about bangers, right? The movie A Headbanger's Journey, right? When they go into depths about the censorship of not just the like imagery visually, but also conceptually. Like, you have the whole thing with Dee Schneider, for instance, coming to speak with Congress to defend the way that his band portrays themselves on stage and whatnot. Like, so you look at Twisted Sister, they were all about dressing in drag.
Yeah.
You had Motley Crue that was all about the eyeliner and the spandex. You got Kiss, one guy dressing up as a demon, one guy dressing up as a spaceman. Like, it's not just a joke in my opinion. It's also about theatrics and about expressing oneself, and again showing the world how zero fucks you give. So I think we'd have to have a good, interesting debate, you and I, on this whole, because like I want you to clarify what you mean about how it's a joke. Like, do you feel like
it depends? No, I feel like we used to look at these covers and art, and we used to think that there was some kind of like these guys were crazy, like mayhem, they actually killed people,
yeah,
and they actually were satanists, and we kind of and as it grew, and as we came to see metalheads in their daily lives and interviews. Now everyone's a total sweetheart. It's just that we like to come up. It's like a fans of a horror movie. Like
I
it's like
don't know though. Think
yeah.
about speaking of that Headbanger's Journey when he goes to interview Mayhem.
Yeah.
And they're like shit faced drinking tall boys of Heineken and whatnot. Like,
Yeah.
is that what they're really like in the way that they're kind of being threatening towards him, or were they doing that? Maybe before they set up the cameras, the guy went up to him and said, "Hey, look, can you do this interview like you're like completely pissed off and don't want to talk to me and whatnot?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, we'll perpetuate the idea that people have about us. Why not? Let's do it."
I mean, yeah, yes and no. I mean, I feel like okay, depends again on the subgenre of metal. Then I feel like in death metal, whether it's brutal death or slam or whatever, it's become kind of a joke, but they still do it, with the fake blood and the videos and all the horror. I feel in black metal they're still taking
Taking it a bit too seriously.
Well, not too seriously every time, but they're still taking it seriously. It's still part of the kind of the mythos. However, like the band we will showcase tonight, which is a post-black band, we'll see that some people take this black metal and try to do something different with it, without having I think the classic imagery of Satan on the cover with corpse paint. You know what I mean? And so obviously, after 35 years, it's of extreme metal. Some bands will try to find a way to play the extreme music without the imagery, and it took 35 years because I mean it's only in the recent years, if I recall correctly, that extreme metal didn't have some extreme imagery. Can you name me an extreme metal band in the 90s or early 2000s that didn't have an extreme imagery? Probably not. That's my point. Is that
Maybe some of the thrash bands like maybe
but thrash.
Metallica.
Okay, but thrash predate. I keep saying 35 years because I'm talking about death metal, or black metal, which is more extreme than thrash. Because thrash always been more about society and politics. So I'm more talking about death and black. So there's always been an imagery associated with it. And I think it's only in recent years that some bands have dared to distance
I think
themselves from.
Death has had some sort of like there's a kind of there's two types of Death albums when it comes to imagery. There's the I'm making a statement covers, or there's the typical death metal album cover. Let me just get some examples up here. For instance, I think Leprosy.
Yeah.
Right, is not very typical metal, right?
Yeah, I mean it's still death. It's still like
you got like a creepy like guy in a hood on.
Yeah, the dude doesn't look well. Come on.
But what about spiritual healing as well? Spiritual healing. But then you go to like symbolic, and you've got like almost kind of like very trippy, hallucinogenic sort of looking stuff, like with eyes and whatnot, and like crossed hands and tentacles. So yeah, I think that Death is probably grasping at straws a little bit, but it is an example.
Actually, I think you well earned your reply from my dare, because I think Death would be kind of an exception from that, really. But they did it all, right? He was kind of the founder of death metal, and he had scream bloody gore with a fucking zombie on the cover.
That kind of brings me full circle to why I challenged you on the whole joke thing, because I don't think it was a joke to begin with. I think it was rebellious. Like, be honest here. Do you think Infernus from Gorgoroth, do you think he is like really into all of that shit, or do you think that's an image for him?
Both, but I think. So like any kind of people, you got real crazy motherfuckers, and you got people that are just, most metalheads, when they get in interviews, they're normal. They speak like you and me, even if they got the goriest shit. But he looks kind of deranged. Either he's a great actor and he plays the part every time, off and on stage, or he's really a little bit, there. I believe the latter for him specifically.
I do believe he would have a hard time finding bandmates if it was the contrary. However, I'm just on their Wikipedia page right now. Currently 3 members in the band. Guess how many past members they've had?
Gorgoroth?
Yeah.
Man, I have
17.
No.
So, I mean, either he's just really hard to get along with, or a lot of them who have played with him and been in a band with him have eventually started to think, man, this guy's got issues. I don't want to be in this band anymore.
Yeah, but that's where, you know, you only see that in black, or almost only in black metal, where they will put actual dead heads, decomposed heads, real heads of animals on stage, like literally kind of facing you know, some laws that they cannot do, you know, some celebrity laws or whatever. So yeah, some bands really take that seriously still. But yeah, I mean, imagery, my point is that if you don't have the imagery, you know, it's you get a lot of people on you get a lot of people on board with the imagery.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because they made it not taboo anymore. It's now common. So, for instance, when I made my album cover for Legatus, right? It's a funny story for Legatus. Let me see if I can get the picture just up so as I describe it, you understand what we're going for. Legatus band. I don't know why I don't have a copy of this on my computer, but there it is on Google Images. So the quick backstory about this. So we, as a group, we're pretty collaborative. We usually, all 3 of us will sit down and brainstorm things before we even start writing a song. We'll usually just kind of sit down with guitars, all 3 of us, even the drummer and the bass player. We'll all be there with guitars, just brainstorming. And we did had the exact same approach with the album cover. And I'm just going to pop it up here. You probably won't see it for a few seconds on your feed, but you're familiar with it. You have a copy of the CD. Now. We basically found the artist first. We looked for someone who could do, who had the chops, who had the ability to be able to go for what we're intending. So I'm just going to put it over the chat there to the right. So you look at this image, and you've essentially got some Spartan, Roman, Centurion types fighting on a pile of fucking zombies with dead bodies everywhere. So you're atypical death metal imagery, right? So the 3 things, one thing from each member of the band, we told the artist. So I said there needs to be Centurions fighting a losing battle. Our bass player said lots of red, lots of blood and zombies. And then our drummer said he just wanted guts. He wanted fucking bowels, a guy getting dismembered, like intestines everywhere.
Gore.
He wanted a flying head, like a decapitating head, and he even said he wanted a toe, like a bloody severed toe. Now, the toe didn't make it into the end result, but if you look at the picture, you've got the Centurions fighting a bloody battle against zombies. There's this guy in the middle getting disemboweled, while the rest of them are having a valiant last stand. And all we needed in order to basically get that across to the artist was we picked an artist who was familiar with the genre. You've seen his work, French fellow, Remy.
Oh yeah.
So we found someone who was familiar with the genre. We knew that we were going for that, essentially. Oh God, look, my auto mod stepped in, Bob, because he said you need another band member requesting tits. My auto mod is I'm gonna allow that though. There we go. But yeah, so all we needed was to find someone who was familiar with the genre and then give a few directions here and there. And at the end of the day, it was because we wanted it's what we thought would look cool. It wasn't a joke for us, and it wasn't a way of being rebellious. It was more of just the something that we identify with as metalheads that we like. Like, this is the kind of stuff we've seen on other albums by bands that we love, and we just want our take on it. So there's even, like, I guess there's a third level. There's the people doing it ironically, joking around. There's the people who were doing it rebellious because they were just basically, fuck you, we're gonna put gore and shit on our album. And then I think this is probably what we have more of these days. People like me and my bandmates. This is something we just love. We identify with this. This is art to us, and it's what represents us as a band.
Okay, well, yeah, and for sure. But the point is that you're still gonna have imported imagery, and it's still gonna, kind of showcase what's inside the what's the music about, right? When we look at the Legatus cover, we know it's gonna be metal. Yes or no?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the imagery is important in metal, and well, I mean, it's always been important. Some bands try, distance their from that, and so shit and tits are out.
Well,
Stevie
so
Ray Vaughan.
I wanted to segue from my band though by using the fact that it's not all about the dark, gory imagery. There's also the Warriors Last Stand sort of imagery, which is another thing that's quite prevalent, especially in like Scandinavian metal bands and like folk metal bands and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
It's less about the gore and more it is about the bows and arrows and standing around a campfire and mountains and stuff and magical forests and things like that.
Yeah. Well, we showcased when we showcased Tides of Karen, right? They're about that also, right? Or earlier we mentioned Both Roar. They're also more about the military soldiers and all that.
Well, here.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. So over there.
Oh, boom.
I have Surtur Rising by Amon Amarth. That's not gory.
Classic. But
it's still metal.
Yeah, it's definitely metal. It's fires and flames.
Yeah, and a giant Viking god with a flaming sword. Again, though, a battle and like men preparing for one last stand.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that the subject of imagery tonight went hand in hand with the band we're gonna showcase tonight, because they're from a style which has begun to distance themselves from the typical extreme metal imagery. And I mean, I think we can listen to them first, and then we can do the segue. As we mentioned, they are called Vitrail, out of Quebec City. They just put out their first full length called Les Pages Oubliées, and we're going to be listening to the third track on that LP, which is called Dans le Secret. Are you ready, Michael?
Yeah, we're queuing it up now. Ah, well, I've been listening to that all week, so I'm not new to that at all.
You like it?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the band. Otherwise, I wouldn't be listening to it while I'm doing my job every day.
We seems like we had a little audio problem at the beginning. Fuck.
Yeah, I
You know
can
what?
only assume it was that the output on the track was just too loud. And yeah, I'm supposed to be a professional sound guy here, so sorry. There
I'll
wasn't multiple instances of it playing at all. It sounded fine in my headphones, but yeah, humongous apologies if that was sounding a little too loud for anyone on the other side.
Anyway, as we always do, I posted their Bandcamp, and you can listen and buy the album there. And I'm gonna talk more about the band, obviously. So Vitrail, yes, a band from Quebec City. Everything's in French. So the album title, Les Pages Oubliées, which means the forgotten pages. We just heard a third track called Dans le Secret. And they're a post-black metal band, and they had an EP in 2020, and they just put out their first LP on April 2nd, independently. And you have Fred Custo on the bass and textures. You have Richard William Turcotte on the drums, which I believe is in the chat with us right now. And we have Simon Tremblay on guitars and vocals. And basically, I mean, as far as Canadian projects, as far as black metal projects in 2021, I think it's at the top for me. It's something very interesting. It's something that's different. It's something that's brutal yet melodic, and for me, that's what I like. That's why I like melodic death metal so much. I like the duality of beautiful things and nasty things. So you get that in post black metal. Now, Michael, do you know me? I'm the genre guy for people who don't know. And do you know what post black is? Could you define it for us, or would you?
Post
Did you have an
black.
idea? Yeah, post black. Like
Well,
not Post Malone.
I
Post
would
black.
imagine it's like any post genre. Um, it's not direct black metal. It is a movement that came post black metal,
Yes, exactly.
like
And
post
as
punk
far
and post hardcore and post grunge.
exactly. Well, the first time I heard the term post was Alex is on fire, right? Post hardcore, and I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about with post? But as the years grew, I understood. I understood. Began to understood.
It's
To
basically a
understand.
development upon a previous genre. It's like, hey, look, 10 years has gone by and we love hardcore or we love
Uh,
black metal, but 10 years has
mm,
gone by and it's changed and this is what it is now. So this is post black metal.
right. So I mean, you listen to the album, and you have some segments which I could put for my mom, and she would like, oh, this is a nice ballad, and right after comes the blast beat with the high fry vocals, and then she would be like, no, you know. So, but that's what I like about it. It's like the mix of these passages are really interesting. And for me, I'm okay. I'm not the biggest black metal guy. Therefore I'm not the biggest post black metal and shoegazing and all these subgenres of post black or whatever. But the first time I had heard it was a band called Deaf Haven. Do you know these guys, Deaf Haven?
No.
So they're a band out of so there's a scene right now in the northwest of the states where you got a lot of this kind of mix and sound, and obviously all the true cult black metal were saying this is not black metal, this is not black metal, because these Deaf Haven guys were like dressing in Hawaiian shirts with like with like a how you call American Eagle pink Bermudas, playing that type of music. But for me, the first time I heard it, I had no clue what they looked like or whatever. I didn't give a fuck either. It just played. I was like, whoa, I really did, because I really like chord progressions, and that's what I think is cool about Vitrail and you know this movement is that you get you know, if I talk a little more about the album, is you get intricate chord progressions with interesting melodies, with the blast beats and with the obviously the you know the typical black vocal the vocals, and so it's rare that I get to satisfy both these needs at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I want to listen to intricate chord progressions, I will have to listen to some old jazz classics or even some ballads from the East, like some K-pop songs, where they have all these fucking 20 chord song. Okay, there's not 20 chords in for example in these songs, but there are some extended chords. So usually in metal you only hear the power chord 1/5, you hear the tritone, the flat fifth, you hear the minor, the third flat, but you rarely hear 7 chords, you rarely hear 9th chords. You do hear major 7 chords because of that dissonance. But I mean, what is cool about this project, I really like for myself, is that you get to hear something more in metal that usually you don't get to listen to. So to kind of be able to do this, they use acoustic guitars. They use guitars with some crunch, not your typical fucking 5 PV cranked up. You got some decent, just fucking crunch guitars. A lot of major chords. You never hear fucking major chords in metal, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to point something out that to me, you were talking about the melody and the choice of melody and the choice of chord progressions. I found it to be tonally very melancholic. And it's one of the things that's kind of kept me playing it on repeat in my vehicle. I'm very, very happy when you have that mix of major and minor, because you do get that feeling of melancholy, because it's like it's the happy with the sad, right?
Yeah, yeah. But it hits me. It hits me the first when I hear a major chord with a blast beat and a black metal vocals. It's like boom, it's like wow, it's like a flavor that you never heard before. It's like eating ice cream in Japan where they have fucking red beans mixed with chocolate. Like, oh, But no, I mean, for me, I don't go out and try to listen to every post black metal album, but I saw in the Quebec community they had quite a big follow up, and I was very curious and really blew me out. The first time I listened to the album, I listened another time right after it, like 2 times in a row, and the guys were kind to let us stream it tonight. And apart from that, I'm gonna say that the album has a great flow. Also, it's great to you can either listen to it in a chair, close your eyes, and take attention to detail, or you can put it in the background and do your shit. It's like
it's very entrancing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I like it as driving music.
Yeah, sure.
It helps me feel like going from one destination to another is going a lot more enjoyable and a lot smoother and quicker.
Yeah, and the dynamics are great too. Like you have some one of my favorite tracks is Sur la Montagne, track 7. It starts super sweet. Like I could play it I'm gonna play it for my mother. I'm gonna send her the track and she's gonna be, oh, it's nice. And then the fucking blast beats are gonna enter. And I can't wait to see her reaction.
my favorite was track 2, La Tempête Apaisée. I don't know.
Oui, La Tempête Apaisée.
That one's my favorite.
Cool, nice. So,
what you like about
it? What you like about it?
Well, again, very melancholic. I'm pretty sure the chord progression is very similar to that song "Zombie" by the Cranberries.
Okay.
I don't know. I was hearing a lot of this sort of like really sad, emotive music, like a lot of feeling in that track, and I do think that's present quite throughout the whole album. But it's actually something you don't usually expect to hear. It's talking about imagery with metal, so you don't think of metal. You'd be like, oh man, metal gives me the feels.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what I felt listening to that track. I was like, man, this is a really emotive song. Really makes me feel.
The first time I heard the song, you gotta listen to the song. You listen to the title, "Honeycomb" by Deaf Haven. It's an 11-minute song, and the fucking song is called "Honeycomb."
Okay.
But it goes through a lot of movements and a lot of chords and chord progression. It's super epic. It's awesome. There's also live performances of it on YouTube. Check it out. It's the first time I heard Post Black, and actually the dudes from Vitrail told me that it was one of their main inspirations for the album.
Oh, okay.
So you see, I'm not only talking shit right here.
Well, if I was to point out something technically that I love about that song, but it's also about the album too, is just to echo essentially what you were saying about the difference, how you can go from this like slower, subdued sound, and then all of a sudden the blast beat kicks in, and the blast beats are very good. I've played with in metal bands with a lot of drummers, and the specific, I think it's just the single kick blast beat in that first song, or even just the one that we were listening to. It's very hard to get that to work properly, and I don't know what the explanation is because I'm not a drummer. But my drummer from Legatus tries to explain it. He says you're like the separation between your kick, your hi-hat, and your snare has to be played in such a way for it to become that perfect sounding black metal or death metal blast beat. Otherwise it just sounds like a really fast like rock beat, like the punk beat.
Well, we have Vitrail's drummer in the chat, so maybe he can
the drums honestly, man, I'm not just saying this because you're here, but the drums are a big piece of this album. Like they're one of the main things I take note of when listening. And I do have to point out real quick, as I'm listening in my vehicle, I was actually a little worried that the quality of the kick drum was a little bit overbearing. I thought it was way too present. But you see, now I've listened to it on my headphones, I actually enjoyed the way that kick drum sounded. So when I go out to work my shift later on this evening, I'm going to dial the bass down on my stereo in my vehicle, because I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It's right, single kick blast, yeah. But so at first listening in my vehicle, I wasn't sure if I was 100% happy with the mix. But now I'm thinking, I think my vehicle stereo must be a little messed up. I gotta like the flat EQ that you have in a car. I think maybe the bass might have been cranked a little bit too much.
Well, that's another little subject I wanted to point out. Okay, so black metal, for the people who don't know, like the first wave of black metal, it sounded like a pile of shit. Like you put a mic in the cabin and you record the album, and that's your album, and you don't want the quality to be good. So it had become a trope in black metal that the quality is okay. It used to be super bad, then it used to be a little bit more polished but still flat. And now it's become a question of taste, whether you want it super polished, because there's black metal albums that are super polished, like Uada. It's in the album I mentioned last week, Malice, super polished, sounds like it couldn't sound better, like production wise. But I don't know if it's wanted or not. But I think that Vitrail, I think those did good. It's not too polished. It's still got the raw, you got the crunch. You got some grit on it, but it is a black metal project. And for me, anyway, I think the production for the style was good. I know that some people, they listen as soon as they listen to a black metal album, if it doesn't sound like pristine, they won't like it. But I mean, they gotta understand that it's part of the style also.
Well, it's difficult with black metal as well, because there's probably more frequency range in black metal than there is in every other genre of metal. With a lot of those open chords, a lot of the times you're playing across all 6 strings. It's not like it's not like in thrash metal where you're just playing power chords all the time, or even death metal where it's just single notes and whatnot.
And even the vocals, you have high pitched vocals, so it's true, you got a big dynamic. So it's a genre that you have the tools to separate the elements. But a big trope of black metal is to have it atmospheric, washed out, washed out guitars, even washed out drums sometimes, like the fucking drum is like playing from the neighbor's yard, But for me on this album, I have no problem with the production. I think it served the project. It's their first album.
After hearing it in my headphones here, this is a headset I used to mix with. I'm regretting even saying I had issue with it.
Hey,
I take it back 100%.
We have Stevie Ray Bob asking for another track.
He's asking.
Are we allowed to do this?
The only problem is I'm not a radio station, so I don't have a deck or anything. I'm not set up to do it. I'd have to try to do it on the fly if we can get permission
from Richard. Richard, can we play another track? So we'll keep talking. If Richard gives us
what I could do is I can play it up through the Bandcamp and hope it comes through on my output.
But we were ready to play the first track, no? devant le
I switched it over to the one that we.
Well, Richard says yes. So it's at first tonight we're gonna have 2 songs from the showcase band. So we're gonna have 2. How you say on YouTube? We're gonna have 2 lawsuits.
DMCA claims. Yeah,
we're gonna have 2 claims. Fuck it, we're metal. So our goal here, guys, is is to have bands known and for you to listen to new bands and go buy their shit. That's the goal here. So even if it gets muted after, because this gets reposted on YouTube, you have the links in the video descriptions. It's on our Facebook page, Metal Mondays. I always put up the band links there. And yep. Go ahead, Mike.
Which is the one we played already? That was the all these.
We played Dans le Secret, which is the 3rd track.
DANS.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get a little crafty here with OBS to see if I delete that from my computer. Then
hey, it's live.
Yeah, then OBS won't know about it. Oh, this action cannot be completed because the file is open in OBS. Oh, of course. So I don't
Stop
know.
talking Chinese to our listeners.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm gonna just open up the Bandcamp link. Give us a song. Which one are we gonna play?
Oh man, if I can choose, I want.
Do they have a request?
Richard, you have a preference? Otherwise, I'm choosing Sur la Montagne, track 7. I want Stevie Ray Bob to hear the minor 6 chord.
Try humming it. So
oh my god,
the difference is it's going to be you and me on camera still while this is playing. So we got to fucking mosh out and headbang out like crazy.
I'm ready. I'm muting myself.
Which one?
Track 7, Sur la Montagne.
All right, here we go. Give me a thumbs up if we're hearing it. All right. Sorry, I just had to make sure I stopped it because before it went on to the next track.
That was good.
Yeah, that was actually.
I
I've been
love
listening.
vibing.
I've been listening to this
Sorry.
Bandcamp on my phone whilst working all week. I'm very 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 impressed with this album. You never seem to bring us any duds. It's a good thing.
People who don't know, Stevie Ray Vaughan is my dad. He's been a chorus director for a long time. He knows all his chords. And I wrote, there was a passing dominant 7 there. I was wondering if he heard it. So just a second, a fucking dominant, like as a musician, like as a guy who loves chords, like that's brilliant in metal. You never fucking hear dominant 7s in metal. It's the barbershop chord, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know like when in The Simpsons when they have a barbershop quartet. Yeah. So
again, anyway. all I can think of, to be honest, with this band, man, is those drums, that groove, the jazz groove we were just talking about in the chat there. Like, oh man, I was just
this song has everything. It starts sweet, ballady, then fucking blast. It's got these drum fills, fucking jazz pattern that
what is even funny, the last word I would use to describe this music is brutal. And that's not to be a bad thing, because I know a lot of people, a lot of metalheads is like, brutal is good, the more brutal the better. But I wouldn't say that this was a nasty, brutal sounding album. It's maybe I'm just weird and different, but to me this was a very emotive experience listening to this album.
Yeah, I think that's a trope of post-black, it's it gets you by the chords, and it gets you also by the brutality. You get both, and what an awesome project.
It's tricky. It's very tricky that way.
Yeah,
that's how honestly, I'm not sure if it's just the drummer in the chat, but if you're all here listening, honestly, I think you guys have gotten that. When Lars Ulrich says, "Oh, it sounds too stock," you guys have done the opposite. You've done what he spends his entire career trying to achieve. You've found something. You found something different. You've found something that really honestly pulls and tugs on a different thread for me as far as metal is concerned. Anyway, that's really the best thing I could honestly say about this album.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say again, just repeat that phrase. It tugs different strings. It doesn't it doesn't tickle the metal funny bone in the same way. It's doing something else. It's not tickling the metal funny bone as so much as it's prodding and coddling.
Cuddling your teeth, your
Bob says songe. That's the word to describe what I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah, it means it's clever.
Yeah.
And no, imagine seeing that live. The only kind of post-black band I saw live was Wolves in the Throne Room and Enslaved, which is a classic black metal band that plays progressive stuff. And man, live, it's fucking awesome to hear that. Mm-hmm. If it's mixed right, like all these open chords with the blast beats, man, it's something different. So imagine seeing this live. Vitrail, you gotta play live. I hope you come to the west of Canada. If you didn't know, Michael is in Edmonton. I also usually live in Edmonton. I happen to be working abroad right now, but
it looks like we lost Phil. I'm not sure where he was going with that. Hopefully we get him back. I would almost suggest you guys try to give us a live performance if you can, like a live stream performance. I've noticed a lot of bands here in Edmonton have been doing that. Also, one. Sorry about this. We've lost him. Come on, Phil. Where are you? He's not dropped from the call. We are experiencing technical difficulties. I would like to ask where I can get a copy of this, because I'm not a Spotify person and I don't have like Apple or anything like that. So right now I'm listening to this album using your Bandcamp on my browser on my phone. So that costs me money on data, but that money doesn't come back to you guys. So I want to know if I can get the full album that way, or if there's a possibility I can actually get a hard copy or a CD. That's pretty much my only question I would throw to you guys. Let me just send him an invite again here. If his internet went down, then we're probably going to have to end it there. But I'm going to send him another invite real quick.
Hello, 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 hello.
Oh, we got him back.
I'm back.
All right, cool.
I don't know what the sorry. I don't know where did I start to?
I don't know. I didn't even know. I said when we lost you, I was like, I had no idea where he was going with that. So I would just I just brought up the fact that I'm not one of these techno people. I don't use Spotify or Apple or anything. So if I wanted to get myself an actual hard copy of the CD, I'd love to know.
You know what? I think that they only have a digital version right now. I'll queue up again the link, the Bandcamp. You can buy the digital.
I just feel bad, you know, playing it on Bandcamp because I get charged for data, right, for that, but they don't get anything. It's not like, so I'm spending money on the album and they're not getting their cut. So I would feel better if I actually had a digital copy, or at the very least something that I know that I've paid for. So if I can get a digital download from Bandcamp, then that's perfect. That's where I'll do it. Oh yeah, here we go.
And also, they have a partnership with YEG Moshpit in Quebec. They make all kinds of cool merch, like metal stuff. Oh yeah, okay, I have to post this. You can buy a flask. They sell
like a hip flask.
You still hear me, Michael?
Yep.
Yeah. You got a flask. I'll send you the link. Maybe you can show on screen. It's fucking awesome. Yeah. Okay. So YEG Moshpit, I think they're in Gatineau somewhere. Okay. So you can get a flask, 8-ounce flask. You can get. They have a bundle, which I think looks like a vinyl, a CD, a sticker. No.
We lost him again.
Yes, because all their merch is through YEG Moshpit.
Phil, we're losing you again. So I'm thinking that your internet connection probably giving us a little bit of a hassle at the moment. You're back.
Hello. I'm back.
Yeah, you're there. But there's a huge delay now. Thanks again, MTJ. Write to me on our Facebook page. I can get you a copy. You can go to this link for our physical copy. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. There are physical copies. I would love to get me hands on one.
Oh, that's what can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're there. But we should probably think about wrapping this up, I think.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, I'm sorry. On that site, YEG Moshpit, you can buy a hip flask, 8-ounce. They have digipack CDs. They even have a big bundle, which looks like a vinyl with an envelope, a sticker. So I posted the link, and definitely visit that merch page. Looks awesome. I want a flask. So Richard writes, thanks again. MTJ, write to me on our Facebook page. I can get you a copy. Boom. There you go.
Yeah, if you can give me a follow here on Twitch, that would be awesome. And that would be all I'd ask in return. And I think we'll probably we'll tee up the outro music here and get us ready to go.
He say they're playing a virtual show. So make sure to follow them on Facebook, and we're gonna watch their virtual show.
Oh yeah, I'd asked that while you were gone there if they were going to be doing a virtual show. So I will keep my eye out for that. I'll get you guys followed on Facebook and all the relevant social media so that I can keep track of that. Much appreciated, buddy. Awesome.
Stay metal.
So, yes, I have been MTJ Disorder. That has been Phil Rock. Thank you very much for watching to all those involved. And until next time, as he said, stay metal.